Welcome to the Cryptonometron. Today I'm doing a video on the 5 biggest cryptocurrency scams ever. But if this is your first time here and you want to know about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, ICOs, blockchain and other related stuff, then click on the subscribe button, click on the bell icon, and you'll get notifications as soon as I upload new content and as soon as I go live. Okay, let's get on with the video. So at number 5, AriseBank. Now AriseBank, they claim to be the world's first decentralized bank with actual banking facilities provided by cryptocurrencies. They wanted to actually have a bank online that was like a cryptocurrency exchange, but also provided the regular banking facilities. They also claimed they bought part of an actual bricks and mortar bank on more than one occasion that was proved false actually in the first instance, but then they tried to prove it in the second instance by showing title deeds and everything else. So it was a bit of a murky operation that was going on. It was backed or endorsed even by the famous boxer Evander Holyfield. He was paid, or was going to be paid, up to $3 million to endorse the project and advertise it and appear on promotional material. He was going to be given about 2.5 million of the Arise coins that were valued between $1.20 and $1.50 each. So a total of about $3 million worth of tokens he was going to get. The project was run by a guy called Jared Rice Sr. Some people look at him as a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency evangelist, if you like, and others look at him as just a clever scammer. Now, the background to this guy is he claims he came from a very poor background and made it. However, if you look into some of the startups that he's been involved in before, none of them really made any money. To me, he appears like a bit of a chancer, maybe a well-meaning chancer, a bit of a nasty scoundrel, but really not a bad person. I think he was actually, trying to raise money through cryptocurrency, but he was also trying to do the right thing. So I don't think he's actually really, a bad person or a criminal. However, the SEC think different. So they claim they own part of an actual bank, as I mentioned before, and in fact, they're still claiming that they do. So the court case is ongoing at the moment. They were told to cease and desist by Texas Department of Banking. They were based in Texas in the USA. And of course, they didn't. Jared wrote a article, it's on Medium still, back to the Texas Department of Banking, basically saying they weren't going to cease and desist and they were going to continue on to try and offer banking services out with the regulatory environment. Probably not a good thing. It's like poking a wasp's nest with a stick. And as you probably would have expected, they were shut down by the SEC on the 26th of January 2018. So what kind of scam was it? Well, the SEC claims it was a fraudulent ICO. Estimated losses are around 200 million, although could be up to 600 million. The ICO itself was trying to raise 600 million to $1 billion. That's a phenomenal amount of money. And they claim, SEC claims they raised about 600 million. So the estimated losses could be a lot higher than this. Fate of the perpetrators, well, the SEC have arrested Jared and he is currently on probation. Now, he is going to try and fight the case. He believes he's not spent any of the money, he claims, and he has investors have actually paid for his legal team. So he's going to fight this tooth and nail. I don't think he's got much chance, to be honest. You take on these government organizations like the SEC and the Texas Department of Banking in court, and they're gonna have you for breakfast, I think. But again, it just goes to show you need to do your due diligence through ICOs, and you need to pay attention to what you're investing in. At first glance, to anybody that didn't really dig deep enough, this ICO would have looked like a legitimate project. Jared was very well spoken on his YouTube videos, and it would have been easy for you to put money into this project thinking it was legitimate. So number 4, BitConnect. Yep, everybody remembers Carlos Matos on stage. And BitConnect was an obvious multi-level marketing scheme that had all the attributes of a Ponzi. Now, multi-level marketing schemes it basically rely on affiliate sign-ups to keep making money. The money gets recycled. The people at the top of the pyramid scheme get most of the money because they recruit and different levels recruit under them. So it can only go so far, but normally it's about 5 to 7 levels. I think this one had 7 to 11 levels when it kicked off at ICO, something ridiculous like that. But what happens is the top promoters recruit underneath them, and then the percentages they get for affiliating go up the tree. It's a pyramid scheme. It's unsustainable, and it relies on new people continuing to come into the scheme to pump money up to the older investors. Inevitably, the older investors sometimes make money, not all the time, but in this case, they probably did make some money out of this, and the newer investors get burned. That's the way it works in multi-level marketing and pyramid schemes. And Ponzi schemes, slightly different. A Ponzi scheme basically promises unlimited returns, which this did. This was a lending platform, so you would basically use Bitcoin, which has value, to buy a worthless token, BitConnect token, and then you lend the BitConnect token for some interest. And it was all based on a fraudulent trading bot and everything else that didn't exist. And what basically you were meant to do was stake your BitConnect tokens for a period of time, like 3 months, 6 months, or whatever it was, and then you would get the interest returns. But again, it is a Ponzi scheme because it promised unlimited returns, promised a certain amount of interest over time, and there was no end to it. So it obviously could not be sustained. It claimed to have a trading bot, as I mentioned, but it didn't. There was never any evidence of this famous trading AI or algorithm that was given to the general population. So, again, it was called out on many occasions as a scam, but they didn't care because too much stupid money in crypto. Too many people were still putting their Bitcoin into this. And it was an anonymous team as well, which obviously is a big red flag. If you want to know the people behind a project, that are not scammers, then they've got to be upfront. They've got to be honest. And this team was completely anonymous. The people that built the website, anonymous. The people behind it, anonymous. The offices were fraudulent as well. People went hunting for them. They had offices, I believe, in Japan or somewhere. And when they went to the building, there was no BitConnect office there at all. So yeah, completely anonymous and fraudulent team. And again, even the slightest bit of due diligence on this project would have told you it's a scam, and it would have told you it's an obvious multi-level marketing scheme. I don't know. It got such a cult following. I had arguments on YouTube about whether it was a scam, and I'm not gloating here. I'm not saying I told you so, but honestly, guys, how could you not see it? It's so obvious. And of course, it wasn't helped that it was promoted by so many famous YouTubers such as Sonny Decree, Craig Grant, Trevon James, Crypto Nick, and many, many more. And they would have made money out of it. I know they did make money out of it. And again, if I was them, I'd be a bit worried at the moment because the SEC are looking at promoters of BitConnect promoters that have been involved in hustling people into this scheme. And the other thing is it spawned hundreds of similar multi-level Ponzi schemes, these lending and staking websites, most of which have also done an exit scam and run away with people's money. Because basically what happens is it gets to a point where, depending how popular the website was, and BitConnect was extremely popular, it cannot be sustained. The amount of new members coming into the scam do not pay the scam off, basically, so it has to close down, and eventually it just exits scams because the team's anonymous, they're not responsible for it, and they just bugger off with everybody's money. That's basically how it works. So some other stuff about BitConnect. It held an event in Bangkok where they gave away non-existent prizes like supercars. Again, fooling some very naive people into thinking that that these promoters were actually going to receive these supercars. And I was telling people at the time, I've lived in Thailand for a long time. Those supercars are 6, 7, up to 10 times the price of what you'd pay for one in the USA, the UK, or Europe. They are very expensive here, and there's no way that you'd be able to export them, even if you actually bought them. So, it was a pure scam. The whole Supercar giveaway was all about drawing more naive and stupid money into the pyramid scheme. That's all it was all about. And the supercars that were allegedly sold during that event in Bangkok Hotel are actually sitting in a garage up the road from me just now. At its all-time high, the coin was worth over $500. At one point, it was something like $510 it spiked at, and it had a market cap of almost $3 billion. That is incredible. For a pyramid scheme, to get that that much hype and that much money behind it is just simply incredible. But as I said, there's a lot of stupid money in crypto, and if you watch my videos, you'll know crypto's built purely on hype. There's so many vaporware projects out there, not scams really, but vaporware ICOs and vaporware projects out there that people are backing with a lot of money and people are invested in with a lot of money. It's just incredible. It's mind-boggling. But again, we're in a new technology, we're in a new space here, so you know, things are going to have to, the ship's going to have to right itself eventually. A lot of people are going to get burned. It's currently trading at $1.29. What a fall from grace, from over $500 to $1.29. It's effectively worthless, but you still can trade it on certain exchanges. The market cap's currently at $12 million, would you believe? You know, again, from $3 billion to $12 million, it's quite a fall from grace. And the SEC is investigating, especially the promoters now, after hundreds and thousands of complaints have been directed at them about this being a Ponzi scheme and ripping people off. And the scammers are allegedly Russians and Vietnamese that were based in Vietnam. There's also been some rumors that they were Filipinos. I'm not so sure. But again, earlier on, when people looked into the project, they came up with the summation that the team behind it were actually Russians and Vietnamese that were based in Vietnam. So what was the upshot of it? Well, the type of scam, it was a Ponzi exit scam. It was pretty obvious. Anybody that even did basic due diligence on this wouldn't have ever touched it with a barge pole. Estimated losses. Well, definitely around 250 million was scammed out of participants, but it could be a lot higher than that. I mean, it could be it could be up to $1 billion that was scammed out of participants over time. We just don't know, and we don't have accurate figures. And the fate of the perpetrators, well, the actual people that built the website, that's unknown at the moment. But however, as I've mentioned before, the promoters are facing charges, and the SEC is looking into them. So, you know, if you promoted it and you made a lot of money out of it, my bumhole would be twitching at the current moment. And yeah, there's Carlos. Hi, Carlos. So at number 3, it's Mt. Gox, probably the most infamous hack in cryptocurrency history, probably the most infamous scam in cryptocurrency history, even up to now. And it stands for Magic the Gathering Online Exchange. Quite a geeky name there. Magic the Gathering, if you don't know, is that card game that people were playing in the 1990s. It was very popular. And the exchange was named after that. It was the biggest Bitcoin exchange for a long, long time. It was first hacked in June 2011, so the warning signs were already there. Now, 2,000 Bitcoins at the time were transferred from customer accounts on the exchange, which were then sold off. And this was highlighting at the time the problem behind centralized exchanges. You know, if you keep your information and your cryptocurrency on a centralized platform, then it's going to be subject to security issues. And we know that now, hence the popularity of decentralized exchanges, or DEX exchanges, which are coming thick and fast now, and hybrid exchanges as well, which combine both centralized model and a decentralized model. I think Binance are going to implement that. Legolas are another one. And then we've got Next, which is a Neo-based decentralized exchange coming soon at ICO. So lots of different exchanges coming, which should go some way in improving security from the original centralized model. But also, at that time in June, an estimated 650 Bitcoins were purchased from the exchange at artificially low prices by Mt. Gox customers, and none of those were ever returned. Now, back in 2011, the Bitcoin price wasn't as high as it is at the moment, so this wasn't really that major a concern at the time. However, the warning flags were there, the warning signs were there. The exchange itself was based in Japan. At the, I think in about 2014, at its height of popularity, it was the largest Bitcoin exchange in the world. It handled over 70%, can you believe, of all Bitcoin transactions. So it was ubiquitous. Everybody knew about it that was dealing in Bitcoin at the time, and everybody had probably used it at one time or another. But by the end of February 2014, it was bankrupt. They lost about 740,000 bitcoins, which was about 6 to 7% of all bitcoins in existence at the time. That's an incredible amount. And you can just imagine the effect that this had on the Bitcoin community, on cryptocurrency. The reputation of Bitcoin, the reputation of crypto just wasn't good at the time. And it was valued at the time in the equivalent of $460 million. But in October 2017, the equivalent value would have been over $3 billion. So an additional $27 million went missing from the company's bank accounts as well. And around this time, things weren't well with Mt. Gox. There were issues with former partners. I believe CoinLab was suing them for $75 million and probably is still, that's going through the courts at the moment. There was employees that were leaking stories about how the company was run, and a lot of dissatisfied customers. There was a lot of problems at that time. And then the guy who founded the company, Jed, I believe, Jed McCaleb, that's right, he went on to found Ripple as well. He sold the exchange to a guy called Mark Karpeles in 2011. And in 2011, Mark Karpeles started to run it, and he started to find out that things were maybe not all as they seemed. 200,000 bitcoins were eventually recovered from the major hack. They were recovered from older wallets that were set up prior to 2011 and never tampered with. But a further 650,000 bitcoins have not been recovered to this date. So you can just see the extent of the hack there. It's just phenomenal. And the hacking apparently possibly had been going on for quite a long time. It could have been a slow bleed. It wasn't just done in one fell sweep. It could have been a slow bleed. And even Karpeles said before he took over the exchange in 2011, he alleges that some 80,000 bitcoins were hacked out of the exchange. So it could have been going on for quite some time. And as a business, it was allegedly operating as insolvent for many, many years. So there was already problems, as I said, and the warning signs were there. But right to the bitter end, it was endorsed by celebrities such as Roger Ver, the guy behind Bitcoin Cash, as you know, and one of the first Bitcoin investors and Bitcoin evangelists. But he was endorsing the exchange just right up until the hack was revealed, so that didn't look good for him. Yeah, Mt. Gox still is one of the biggest contentious issues in cryptocurrency. Just recently, we've had some of the recovered coins being dumped on exchanges. So it's still a bone of contention in the cryptocurrency community. So what was the upshot of the whole thing? Well, it was an exchange hack, probably a slow bleed, or slower than we're led to believe. Estimated losses at the time in 2014 when it came to light, Bitcoin, the total amount of Bitcoin stolen was worth around $500 million, $500 million. It's a phenomenal amount of money. But if we take modern prices, it's a lot higher than that. And if we take prices in October 2017, we're talking over $3 billion worth of Bitcoin. Just a phenomenal amount of money, and nothing like it nothing like it was seen at the time. Whether it'll happen again is remains to be seen. But I think it's a hack on such a scale, just really rocked the cryptocurrency community, rocked the Bitcoin community as well at the time. And fate of perpetrators. Well, Mark Karpeles was arrested. He's currently on bail, and he's going through the motions of a court case at the moment. They've all been charged. They did arrest another guy called Alexander Vinnik. He is a Russian, because he was, apparently they traced the wallets, and he was the guy that was receiving some of the stolen Bitcoin into several different wallets that he controlled. He was arrested by US authorities in Greece, and he's facing charges as well. So what a tangled web we weave. There's Mark Karpeles there, and incidentally, he just tried to get backing to launch an ICO to pay back the people that lost their money in the exchange hack. Brazen, possibly, and we'll need to wait and see what happens to him in the future. But this goes down as probably one of the pivotal events in Bitcoin's history, and it rocked the Bitcoin community at the time. It really did. So at number 2, it's CoinCheck. CoinCheck are a Japanese or Tokyo-based cryptocurrency exchange. They're still running. On January the 26th, 2018, 523 million NEM or New Economy Movement coins were sent from an NEM address at CoinCheck, and 8 hours later, CoinCheck noticed an abnormal decrease in the balance. Wouldn't you believe it? 500 million NEM coins disappearing out your wallet. You'd probably notice eventually, wouldn't you? But it took them 8 hours to notice. The NEM coins were stored in a hot wallet, which is connected to the internet, instead of a cold wallet, which is offline. And that was their biggest mistake right there. Now, company president Koichiro Wada cited technical difficulties and a shortage of staff were to blame for this mistake. And CoinCheck reimbursed the victims, although not to the full amount that the coins were worth at the time of the hack. Slightly under, I think they reimbursed them at about 83 to 88 cents per coin, which is still something, especially if you had a lot of them on the exchange. And again, another reason not to keep cryptocurrency on exchanges, guys, yeah? They were probed by Japan's Financial Services Authority to ascertain the exchange's security and whether they could afford to give refunds after the hack. So there was a month-long investigation by Japan's FSA into CoinCheck, and they found that the cause of the breach was a form of malware that had infected the company's internal computer systems. And how did the malware get on there? Well, hackers had sent phishing emails to CoinCheck employees, and links had been clicked by staff. It's as simple as that. So what type of scam was it? It was an obvious exchange hack. Estimated losses around, at the time, 530 million, making it the second biggest hack in cryptocurrency history. And the fate of the perpetrators is unknown at the moment. However, a Japanese man was questioned by police. I believe he was released, and the investigation is still ongoing. The Japanese take this stuff pretty seriously. As you can see, they were investigating the exchange, and they're trying to get to a conclusion here. So let's see what happens in the future, whether they'll actually arrest people for this, whether they find the perpetrators or not. At number one, we have a new champion, guys. It's Ifan and Pincoin. You've probably never heard of them. This has just happened in the last few days. Ifan and Pincoin were two ICOs backed by a company called Modern Tech, which was behind both of them, and they were based in Ho Chi Minh City, formerly Saigon, in Vietnam. Now, they went dark. Modern Tech went dark and disappeared in April 2018, just a few days ago. It is the biggest ICO exit scam ever. It's really phenomenal amounts of money we're talking about here. How ICOs can raise this type of money is just beyond me. But again, they were mostly Vietnamese victims, so that's why you probably haven't heard of them. And protests outside the Modern Tech offices, or what were the Modern Tech offices in Ho Chi Minh City, are currently ongoing. Now, 32,000 people were duped into investing an estimated 15 trillion Vietnamese dong into these two fraudulent ICOs. That is an incredible amount of money, and it just goes to show how much interest there is in crypto in Vietnam as well as it goes. So Ifan was marketed as the most advanced social network for celebrities and artists, enabling them to better connect with their fans on this Ifan platform. It was launched as an ICO, as I mentioned. The other one, Pincoin, was marketed simply as an investment opportunity, promising up to 40% returns in monthly profit. Again, sounds like a bit of a multi-level marketing scheme and definitely a Ponzi scheme. And investors started to grow suspicious when the company began to stop paying commissions in real money, started to pay out in tokens, but you couldn't withdraw the tokens. Does this sound familiar? Yeah, another Ponzi exit scam there. The upshot of it all, it was an ICO exit scam. The two of them exited, or the main company behind it exited, Modern Tech. Estimated losses, 15 trillion Vietnamese dong, which is around 660 million US dollars at today's exchange rate. It makes my eyes water, it really does. And the fate of the perpetrators currently, because it just happened, is unknown. But don't be surprised if we never hear from them ever again. That is just a phenomenal amount of money. So that's the biggest scam in cryptocurrency to date. And again, we can argue about Mt. Gox, or the real value of Mt. Gox today is over 3 billion, or or whatever. But I'm just taking the figures at the time of the scams. And at the moment, Ifan and Pincoin is the biggest one, and it's quite remarkable considering they only really targeted Vietnamese. So to raise $660 million in 2 ICOs from one country in particular, that is just incredible, and it just shows the naivety that is in Asia in cryptocurrency at the moment. Just incredible. There are some notable mentions, and no prizes for these, but in India, a self-proclaimed cryptocurrency guru, businessman and Bitcoin entrepreneur, Amit Bhardwaj, has been recently arrested for allegedly scamming investors out of remarkable $307 million US. I won't go into details about that particular scam, but he's been running different sort of scams, ICOs, and other types of scams for a while now, and authorities have just caught up with him. Another one to mention, CentraCoin. It was an ICO. They were claiming to have a debit card, a cryptocurrency debit card. They were shut down by the SEC very recently. They raised $32 million in their ICO, not insignificant. And of course, the reason I'm mentioning it, again, it was shilled by a well-known, self-professed cryptocurrency expert YouTuber, shilled last year to buggery by this guy. So, beware, guys, honestly. And if you want to know who he is, well, all I can say is he does a lot of singing at the start of his videos, and he's got a lot of subscribers. Like I said, there's a lot of stupid money in crypto. And the last one is BitGrail. They lost 170 million worth of Nano. At the time, it's XRB is the ticker, in an exchange hack. And it was called Ryblocks at the time, I think, and the coins were stolen. But we won't go into details because it didn't make the top 5. But there you go. Those are the top cryptocurrency scams ever. And as you can see from the top 5, we're talking billions of dollars that's been lost. If you enjoyed the video, please like and please subscribe to the channel and post comments below, guys. Every little bit helps. I appreciate every one of you that views this and presses like. I really, really do appreciate you being here. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back later. I've got ICO reviews coming up, some new and interesting projects to bring to your attention.